Welcome to Thorough Talks 215. I am your host, Elias Perez. Today I have a special guest. It's a one-on-one interview with someone who's prominent in the community, very intelligent, well accomplished, well known, and respected. Before I give you her name, let me run this bio down so you can get to know a little bit about her before I introduce her. Elected in 2022, she represents Philadelphia's 7th district, including Hunter Park, Fairhill, Juniata, Norwood, Kensington, Frankfort, and Norris Square. These aren't just places on the map for her. There are neighborhoods where she grew up and raised her children. Before joining City Council, she served statewide advisor boards focused on strengthening communities and led communities engagement efforts at Esperanza, a major nonprofit serving families in North Philadelphia. One part of her bio I want to highlight, Lozada also spent 5 years as a project coordinator of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, an experience that reflects her long-standing commitment to cycle life and cultural pride. She holds a master's degree in business administration and believes leadership begins with listening, courage, and service. Today on council, she focused on improving neighborhood safety, supporting schools and parks, and making sure residents have a real voice in the decisions that affect their lives. Welcome, Councilman Quetcy Lozada.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Excited to be here with you.
Thank you. It means so much to me because someone like you, in your position, I know you're busy. I know you have a lot going on, and I know your time is valuable. So I didn't want to waste any time, and I'm so happy for you to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. To me, time is valuable, but being able to spend time with people in the neighborhood, to me, there's always time for that, right? I think it's
Absolutely.
where I feel the happiest and the most comfortable.
So let's start from the beginning because you are from North Philly. And for people that don't know, Philadelphia is a city of neighborhoods, right? And we're all proud of our neighborhood. Like, I'm from Hunter Park. And so even though it's North Philly, I always say Hunter Park. Let's start from the beginning. What area are you from? Give us a little bit about your background, your family, and the high school you went to.
So you from Hunting Park? I'm from Hunting Park.
HP, baby, HP.
I'm from Hunting Park too. So I am, all my life, born and raised in the 7th Council District. I was born in what they now call the Norris Square neighborhood on Lawrence and Berks. Raised in Hunting Park, 7th and Butler.
Okay.
That's really where I've spent many, many years. Many of my most memorable years were spent on 7th and Butler.
Right.
My parents.
The golden years. Those were the golden years. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dad then decided that he was going to be a deacon, and he got reassigned to a different parish, in the parish of St. Hugh. And so we ended up on Hope and Tioga.
Oh, wow. So you was down the way.
Raised my family in Juniata, right, on Palmetto Street. And currently am living with my husband and my parents in the Northwood Frankfort neighborhood.
Okay.
And so spent a lot of time in the 7th Council District, traveling from, like you said, different neighborhoods, but most proud of and really connected to the neighborhood of Hunting Park, where I built lifelong friendships and relationships and that still exists today. And so Hunting Park is near and dear to me.
Very, very, very important. Hunting Park section, which is Puerto Rican and mostly African American, or what they call today FBA's Foundational Black Americans. Now, your father was a deacon. Let me ask you, that had to have been tough because anyone knows that when the man is a deacon and he has daughters, is there some strength? How was that? How do you attribute, your dad being a deacon to your success?
I think it's really important. My dad being a deacon meant that I was exposed to service, right? To a life of service. That's really what my house was. My house was the hub of the community.
Right.
Many nights, many days, you could find my house full of young people that were from the neighborhood that either didn't have a close relationship with their own parents. You would find them scattered all over our living room.
Wow.
On any day, you could find a couple seeking just marital advice and support. Senior citizens who came to just pray, right, on any given night in my home. And so my house was that house where if you needed to be connected with something, whether it was spiritual or from the secular world, you could find it at home. And so that really was my foundation. I say that I have a foundation of faith. Every day at 7 p.m., my house, the door was closed, and whoever was in the house prayed the rosary every day. And so it really determined who I am today, and how I use and I lean into my faith to do the work that I do.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And growing up, I noticed that the difference from the classmates that I had, to me, was a lot of them came from homes that were broken, right? And I would talk to a lot of the guys and the girls, and they didn't have a father. And that's how it was in my neighborhood, when my dad was like the big father to a lot of these kids, and how important that is. You know, we celebrate Mother's Day as we should. Mothers are, right? They're at the top. And you can never take away the power and the love we have for mothers. Sometimes we get away from not giving the fathers a little bit of the props. And how, you know, what does your dad mean to you?
Oh my goodness. You're going to make me cry here. Listen, I cannot imagine my life without my dad. Right. I absolutely love and adore my mother. But I cannot imagine a life without my dad existing. And I'm fearful, right? Because we live and we all die, right? Our time comes.
True.
And I see my dad today age, and I'm afraid. I have to be very honest about that. I say that there is no man that I have ever met in my life that has been and is as supportive as my father. And I've been with my son's dad for 25 years. And he's there, he's supportive, he's a provider.
But it's not this, it would never be the same.
Absolutely not.
Just like when guys with their mothers, right? It's like, that's like your first love. And it doesn't diminish how you feel about people that are in your life. It's just, dad is dad. You know, dad is
my
dad.
dad is my dad. And I don't think, you know, I said to him just recently, I said, Dad, the day that you are no longer here is the day that I will be in trouble.
Wow, really? You don't think he would, you know, the strength he's giving you and the support and that grit, right? The grit. Don't you think that you would want to carry that? Like, it's like the torch, you know?
Yeah, you know, my dad only had daughters.
Wow.
And I say...
Also, he must have had a lot of headaches then.
Yeah, you know.
How many daughters? So you have sisters?
There's 3 of us.
All right,
and
shout out to the sisters.
I say my dad worked for pads and toilet paper, right? Because that's what you know, he was the minority in the house.
Right,
you know?
right. I can imagine.
But he was a provider. And I don't know, you know, my dad has always said that if something happened to him, I was the person that was going to have to make all of the decisions. Wow. I was the person that was going to have to make all of the arrangements. And I am like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be okay. Right. But then you sit back and you think about it and you're like, oh my God, I can't even imagine having to do that.
Right.
Would I carry my dad's torch? I say that I will leave this earth with the last name Lozada. I will carry my dad's legacy forever as long as I'm here.
Right.
But I still, if there's one of the things that I fear the most, it is living a life without my dad in it.
Wow. Well, let's keep Dad in prayer. He's going to live for another 100 years.
Yes,
okay,
please. Yes.
Let's switch a little and let's talk about, you are so involved with the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Is that still happening? Give us a little bit of the history of how you got involved with the Puerto Rican Day Parade and what's going on, anything new this year.
Crazy thing is, I didn't want to be Puerto Rican when I was younger.
What do you mean?
I didn't want to speak Spanish. I didn't want to be Puerto Rican.
Oh, my goodness.
Went to work for a nonprofit, at the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Multicultural Affairs Congress.
Right.
And my boss put me in all of these different committees because the Convention and Visitors Bureau wanted to attract more Latinos into the city of Philadelphia. And one of the organizations that they connected me with was Concilio.
Okay.
At the time known as the Council of Spanish-Speaking Organizations, Concilio for short, who were the producers of the Philadelphia Puerto Rican Day Parade. And I established a really close relationship with the leadership there, and an opportunity became available to be able to lead the 14 events that made up the Puerto Rican Day Parade Festival in the city of Philadelphia. And my boss at the Convention and Visitors Bureau encouraged me. She was like, go, that's what you're supposed to do. That's where you belong. I was like, I don't even speak Spanish. And I did. I spoke Spanish. You know how you speak Spanish at home?
Estrujado. No, español estrujado. Así yo lo hablo.
Sí.
Like people that don't understand, like for us, that people that were born in Philly, New York, it's not that they don't consider us Puerto Ricans, but we're like American first and Puerto Rican at the same time.
I think in English to be able to speak in Spanish, right?
Spanglish, I guess.
Yeah. And at home, my dad used to say, "Aquí se va a hablar español." You're gonna speak Spanish in here. My mom would talk to us in English, and so we always were in that in between. But I didn't like to speak it out in public.
Yeah.
I got hired at Concilio in 2002, 2003, and my boss immediately said to me, "Aquí vas a hablar español. We're only going to speak Spanish."
Wow.
The leadership there sat at the lunch table every day together. Every day we met and we talked about the day and what we were working on. It was almost like a huddle,
right?
But it was all in Spanish.
So you were forced to I can imagine.
At the beginning, it was a struggle, and they were always correcting me. But my boss said to me, "You will become the voice of our organization because these events are." How we raise money to be able to provide services to at the time, the 4,000 families that were clients of the organization. And if you know Concilio, you know that they are really big on social services. They were the first Latino organization in the city of Philadelphia. They were established in 1962.
Wow.
Because at the time when Puerto Ricans were migrating into the city of Philadelphia, there were no services for us. And so the organization came about to specifically serve Puerto Ricans and Latinos in the city at the time, around everything, right? Around education, social services, medical, housing, everything that we needed to be able to have quality of life. And these programs, these Puerto Rican festival events really were to complement the grants or the contracts that we had, supplement them to be able to provide non-discretionary funds.
Okay.
And so I was tasked with making sure that those events, number one, actually happened, that they were quality events. And the direction at the time was to attract younger Puerto Ricans into the events. And so I was like, but how am I going to do that? Si yo no hablo ni español y ellos, vamos a estar aquí,
and they don't either, right?
Vamos a estar mal. But, you know, it is one of those jobs that you say really was fulfilling.
Right.
Because I learned to be proud of who I was, learn to be proud to speak the language that I speak. When we say to young kids that speaking Spanish is their superpower, I really learned that.
That's so true. And not to cut you off, but people are suffering now because their kids didn't speak Spanish, and now they're at an age. And let's be honest, especially today, 2026, you see the influx of everybody wanting to learn about being Latino, thanks to Bad Bunny, right? And so when people meet me and they say, wow, you speak pretty decent Spanish, it was because I was forced to. Like my parents say, we're going to speak Spanish and English, but you know, when you go to school, it's all English. Here, we're going to speak Spanish. And it's a shame that families don't even try. Yeah. It's a disservice in my mind that if you speak pretty well English and you have a child, you don't even attempt to speak to them. So I understand that.
Right. Yeah. We had to, I was forced there to speak Spanish. I truly appreciate them forcing me to do that. The 14 events really grew as a result of us making sure that we connected with young people and made people proud of who they were and excited to be able to not just speak the language, but dance to the music, appreciate the culture.
Know the history also, which is
the
big.
History, absolutely.
You know, it's funny. Again, and I was talking to my co-host not too long ago, and I was saying how in school I would challenge the teachers because there was never no Latino history. No. I'm talking from I can remember 3rd grade, 4th grade into high school, and I brought it up, and they said, "Well, that's out of our control." Yes. And so when you're talking about this, where it's outside of school, even though the argument could be that's your parents' responsibility, but you would think if I'm at a school where it's 90% Latino,
you would
There's
want
no
to learn.
curriculum on our, so yeah,
No,
kudos
for sure,
for that.
for sure. I think that it is extremely important, and you bring about a really good point, right? Puerto Ricans or Latinos are the fastest growing minority in the city of Philadelphia. Somebody should say, hey, we need to learn about this community's culture, their language, the history, so that we're better prepared to service the community that is becoming that fastest growing minority. I think that we're going to have a struggle, right? Look at the world that we're living in now. We're living in a society where people want to erase Black history.
See that?
They don't even want to have that conversation.
What's going on? And I hate to jump off subject, but what's going on with that? Didn't the Supreme Court ruled against that? Is that still in play?
They did rule against it, but then you had another judge who said that he didn't have to put back the
monuments,
the displays.
Okay.
And so it's really challenging. I think that is going to be a conversation that is going to take some time, right? You're going to have some Supreme Court justices that are going to rule in favor and against. But I think at the end of the day, we cannot erase history.
Yep.
In order for us not to repeat history, we need to make sure that we're honest, that we're transparent, that we recognize and we hold ourselves accountable as it relates to what happened, right?
Yeah.
How did we get here?
It's funny you said it. You know what I've been reading? War Against All Puerto Ricans.
Mira para allá.
That book there, and it hurts because you realize that, look, we are Americans. And I want to ask you a question after I make this statement. Being a Puerto Rican in the United States, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. And in the beginning, you're proud, hey, I'm an American. Once you start learning and reading what actually happened with the sterilization of women, 1950, the bombing, Vieques, all the stuff they went through, it's sour. It makes it a little bit sour. It doesn't mean you hate the country. We're not against our own country because we still have passion for the United States. Let me ask you this. When I was growing up, my father always taught me that when someone asked me, well, what are you? What's your nationality? To say I'm an American with Puerto Rican descent. What is your call? What do you say if someone says, what are you? What do you claim? How would you say it?
So let me tell you something. My dad was always very, very strict. Very strict. We were like on lockdown. My parents did not play around. I was the same way.
Yep.
The last time I got smacked in my mouth was because I said to my dad, I am an American.
Ooh, so I got it.
With Puerto Rican descent.
I got it.
Eso
¿Para qué fue eso? That was it. Hold on, wait a second. Let me say that was in the days where that was allowed, and the father didn't go to jail. Today is a different. We have evolved, right? We have evolved.
Yes, we have. I was 16 years old, and my dad whacked me in the mouth.
Yeah.
I had to say he cried for a few hours. He had to go sit in church and really pray, and I guess get himself under control because he put his hands on me as grown as I was.
Right.
But I think that. After that, we had a conversation about the why, right? He wanted
Which is very important. Very important.
Yes. He wanted me to understand that I should never be embarrassed to say that I am Puerto Rican.
Right.
And that I'm proud to be Puerto Rican, and that, yes, I was born under the American flag in the United States of America, but I am Puerto Rican.
Right.
And since then, when people say to me, well, what are you? I proudly say I am Puerto Rican. I am Puerto Rican, born.
You don't put the American behind it?
Nothing. No.
And do you feel like doing that would tarnish the Puerto Rican side? Would it put mud on it? Because I still, look.
I think it's just a preference, right?
Yeah.
It's a preference to me. I need people to understand that I'm proud of who I am. And I'm not going to apologize for being proud of being a Puerto Rican Latina
but most people,
in the city of Philadelphia.
You know what's funny, Miss Lozada, if you don't mind me saying that?
Quetcy.
All right, Quetcy. I just want to respect. A lot of people get upset because they're not educated. Because even if you say you're Puerto Rican, that is an American. Absolutely. But they get so offended with the fact that you say, well, I'm Puerto Rican, and not say I'm Puerto Rican American. I think that we have
society.
That's society.
Society wants you to feel like you have to say that, right? I'm not. If you know me, you know that I'm not going to let society dictate to me what my preferences are.
Gotcha.
I respect. If you say to me, "Oh, mira, Quetcy, I'm Puerto Rican with American descent," okay,
Yeah, you're not going to judge.
no,
It's
absolutely
free
not.
will.
Whatever makes you comfortable is
Correct.
what I'm good with. And just like I'm respectful of what your preferences are and how you wish to describe yourself, then I expect the same thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So I want to ask you this question because, right, when it comes to politicians, people that work in city council, you have two sides. You have the side of the people that say they're not worth anything, broken promises. Like I said, I met you the first time you came out to the job site and you were working with us because we were going through a strike. And I noticed how attentive you were. You were paying attention to everyone. You gave us your word and you fulfilled it. That means a lot. So this interview means everything to me because you're someone that I respect highly. I think you have a lot on your plate and we're praying for you to continue. But the reality is there's a world out there that look at you guys like, excuse my French, eso es mierda lo que dice ella. No hacen nada. What is it about you working with the city council and that you're so passionate about that we don't see from the outside, right? From the outside, we look at it like it's just another politician. Right? They want to get votes. Right? It's that time of year. I've heard that my whole life. Give us a little bit of the insight in your world where people don't see and why you're so passionate working for the city.
Yeah, I think that what people don't realize is that oftentimes Latinos are not a priority. Right. And so I sit at many tables where I'm always the minority. Right. Philadelphia is no secret. Philadelphia is a black city, a black democratic city. And so they are the majority and they lead conversations, I have to say, and give my colleagues, my African-American colleagues and those who represent in different levels of government who are African-American, I have to give them their props because, it doesn't matter what they have going on in the neighborhood. It doesn't matter how they feel about you personally. When it's time to sit at a table and make a decision about what is in the best interest of their community, they come together and they get organized and they deliver for their people. I'm really fortunate that I work with a legislative body of 16 other people where I am the only Latina, but they are super respectful and they ensure that they bring me to the table and that I'm allowed to express my concerns. Right. And I don't want to say I'm allowed. I'm free. I'm free to express what some of my concerns are and the concerns of my community, which if you really sit back and think about it, are not different from that of the African American.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Well, yeah.
And so,
if we look at it deep, a Puerto Rican has the Taino, the Spaniard, and the African.
Yes, and just what folks don't realize is that sometimes you have to fight. Look at the district that I represent. I represent the 7th Councilmatic District. 55% of the residents that live here identify as Latino. Right. For many, many years, this district was the district that received the least amount of services. Wow. When you look at the schools in the 7th Councilmatic District, historically, when you look at the performance of the schools, we always end up at the bottom. So we receive the least amount of services. When we represent 3 of the 5 most dangerous police districts in the city of Philadelphia. So we were leading in violent crimes for many, many years. We represent the opioid epidemic, right? And so I think that there's a lot of things that when you look at the district, all of those things that are wrong with the city of Philadelphia are exasperated here in the 7th Council District. And it was allowed to happen here because we live here, right? Okay. And I think that that's a fight that I have every day. It's a reminder that I have to put in people's face. I just have to shove it in their face in order for them to recognize that just because we're Latinos doesn't mean that we deserve less, right? And I think that in politics, the average person doesn't realize that in order for us to get this much, there's a fight that has to happen. It's a battle, right? I have to say to my counterparts, if you want my vote, for that is important to you, then I need to get these things for my community, right? Because my community matters. There are those who say that all of the social detriments that occur in the 7th Council District will never be responded to unless people that look like me leave. And that's a problem, right? Those are the types of things that I fight every day that the cameras don't see,
Like that we don't
the
see.
average voter doesn't see. But that is the reality. In order for us to get the little bit that we get, oftentimes there's hours of fighting. There's hours, there's multiple meetings, there's hours spent.
And it's not guaranteed that you're going to get,
Absolutely
you
not.
put all that effort in doesn't always mean that you're successful, right? So
You're absolutely correct. And it also, you also have to have a certain level of respect with your colleagues. So my colleagues know that if I say yes to you, I'm going to be a yes.
Yeah, you mean.
My colleagues also know that if I say no, I'm going to be a no. And I believe that in the little bit of time that I've been an elected, I've been able to gain their respect because they know that when I say I'm a yes, I'm a yes, and when I say I'm a no, I'm a no, and so they reciprocate their support as well, right? If I can go to any of my colleagues and say, can I support you on this? This is my problem. This is why it's important to me, and this is how it's going to impact the quality of life in my community. This is how it's going to make it better for our children. I know that when I walk away and if they've said yes to me, I know with my eyes closed that they're going to deliver because we've established that level of respect. And you don't see that often or a lot in government.
Nice. Very, very well put. That's one of the questions because people were asking me, who's coming on next show? And I brought you up and so people gave me some questions because a lot of times we just don't know. Yeah. Right. We're from the outside. We see it and we hear the promises. But again, sometimes it's out of your hands. It's a bigger picture, and the way you broke it down eloquently makes a lot of sense.
I don't tell, I think that one of the things I have always said to community is I will try. I'm coming to listen. I'm one of those kind of people that I learn by going to see it and touch it myself. Right. I want to be able to walk in the middle of it. I want to feel how people feel when they're walking around, right? This is my neighborhood. And so I'm not afraid to walk around here by myself. I'm not afraid to come out at night. I've driven around here at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because I want to see the night environment around here. I've built a lot of legislation based out being in the presence of it, right? I hear residents give me all of the complaints and they tell me what is going on, but you can really feel it and see it when you're in the midst of it. And so I really try to lead that way, right? So when I'm coming to people, I'm coming to hear, I'm coming to understand what their perspectives are and what the challenges are. And then I kind of like take a step back. Let me see what is already legislated. How does this legislation work? Yep. And then how are we going to move? Great. And before I move, I come back and say, listen, these are the things that I heard you say. This is what the law currently says. And this is not what I'm proposing. Are we good with this?
Right.
And if I get pushback, then I know I have a lot of work to do, and we're going to work it until we figure it out. Support, right?
Absolutely.
And then if not, then listen, we're going to have to table it and we'll figure it out. We're going to work together. But I've been really, really fortunate in not putting things on the floor or presenting things to the community that I've not been able to deliver on.
Awesome.
I can't say it's not going to always be that way, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's just I've created a process in my office that is really based on a process that prioritizes the voice of the people that live in the space where the impact is going to happen most.
All right, people, she answered it. Okay, and that was a very, very valid answer. All right, so let's switch gears now. So you worked for Esperanza, and so a lot of people might not know what Esperanza is. Give us a little bit of the history on Esperanza, because the people that do know, they know the work that they do over there, and high value, respectable organizations, been around for a long time. I grew up in that neighborhood, so I know a lot of people that came in and out of there that spoke very highly, and they're pillared in the community. What's your experience with Esperanza? How'd that come about?
So 30 years, Esperanza has been in existence for 30 years. A lot of people don't know that Esperanza started out of the trunk of Reverend Cortez's car.
Really?
They started in the trunk of the car. Then they bought a laundromat, and he ran the organization out of the second floor of the laundromat. But the organization's mission has always been to create community opportunities for the residents around it. It is another social services agency. Esperanza offers programs of workforce development, housing counseling, immigration services. They're a school to over 2,000 students, a charter school to over 2,000 students. They have a, people don't know this, but they have a state-of-the-art theater. So, you know, many of our community members have never been to like the Philadelphia Ballet, to the Wall Street or nothing. And
which is good. I bring this up all the time, how it's okay to venture out. You know, we're so stuck with our culture, especially Boricuas. To all my Boricuas, it's okay. It's okay to go to an art show. It's okay to go to a ballet. And sometimes we kind of look at it like, oh, that's corny. But I think it's okay to open up your horizon.
Absolutely, the Philadelphia Ballet. But you know what? I think that we have to accept the reality that some people can't afford to go to the Philadelphia Ballet. Yep. Esperanza has created a state-of-the-art theater that allows our community residents to go and take in a Philadelphia Ballet show for as little as $5, right? Some of our seniors go for free. Some of our young people go for free. And it's in the neighborhood, right? It's in the community. They have a ballroom that overlooks the Philadelphia skyline. And you wouldn't even know that, right? They have a library. They have a small chapel. There's just so much in that small space. No, definitely. I have to say that working at Esperanza was impactful for me because I got to learn from Reverend Cortez, who I consider a friend and a mentor and a visionary, alongside his brother Danny Cortez, who to me was the operationalist of the Reverend's vision, right? And together they make such a powerful team. They brought me on at the very beginning of the pandemic. The pandemic had not even hit yet. I started January 6th of 2020. And I was told, you're going to do community engagement. You're going to come in. You're going to kind of connect the programs together because they don't really talk to each other.
Right.
You're not going to have any staff. It's going to be okay. It's not going to be a difficult job. I'm like, okay. That was in January. Little did we know that 2 months from then, right, March, the pandemic hit and everybody kind of had to shelter in place and life kind of stopped. Different for me, I managed the part of the organization that really was that outreach arm of the organization. And so it was when we really went into action. I managed a group of employees that managed 210 businesses. Oh, wow. And you know that commercial corridors are the economic engine of neighborhoods. And so we needed to make sure that those businesses continue to operate so that people could put food on their table, so that community could stay connected and get what they needed at their spaces. I managed corridor cleaning, right? So making sure that the corridors were clean so that people had access and weren't walking all over trash. And if you remember, at the beginning of that time, there was also riots in the city of Philadelphia, right? Yep, and many of the business corridors along the city of Philadelphia got hit really hard. People were setting them on fire. I can say that as a result of our very small but mighty group of staff, we were able to ensure that 90% of our businesses stayed open. Mm-hmm. Only 2 of our businesses were impacted by the riots. And we were able to connect many of those businesses to PPP grants and to other grants that were made available to businesses to keep them running and to keep the economic mobility of the community going, right? Right. We also got hit with COVID.
Which was devastating.
It was devastating. And it really, that to me really showed me the need that was in the community. It's when I realized, if you remember, during the beginning of COVID, in order for you to get access to a vaccine, you had to sign up online. Okay. And it was then that we realized that many of the residents in the Hunting Park community did not have digital access. They didn't have access to online services. And so they were not signing up. As a result of that, my small team also immediately went into action, and we started going door to door, connecting community residents with an appointment slot for the COVID vaccine. At that point, we were able to register 4,000 people in the Hunting Park and surrounding communities with something as important as the COVID vaccine. I'm proud of that work. I'm proud of organizations like Esperanza who understood that they were the anchor of that community, and they didn't say no. They knew that we were called to serve, and they pushed us and made it possible for us to be able to serve.
That's so important because, again, from the outside, people don't know about this, and how you broke it down. It shows you so much work that's happening behind the scenes. And so bringing you in is so important because to me, it's just crucial that the world knows, that they hear this. And a lot of times they don't. And so it might give someone ánimo, right? You know, ánimo in Spanish is the energy and the will to want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a note that I'm putting a timeline here. If you actually look at your relationship with your dad, Esperanza, then city council, right? So everything was building up for you to do this. That's why, not that I'm saying it's easy, but it's kind of second nature for you, right? Don't you feel that way?
It doesn't feel that way. It doesn't.
Sounds like it.
I think that what people, if I were to have to share something about me, is that I am the least uncomfortable here behind this microphone.
I can't tell. You seem like a natural to me.
It's an uncomfortable space to me. I really, I can walk into a room and not have a conversation with anybody. I'm an observer.
Okay.
I'm also what I would consider an executor, right? So I have always been the person in the background that has made things happen. Okay. Never was really, I couldn't really imagine me being in the driver's seat. But you know, the opportunity presented itself, and like anything else, I put things in prayer, and
as you should, absolutely.
I asked for direction, right? And so I had the opportunity to go to Israel with my dad, in 2022 at the beginning of 2022.
That's on my bucket list. Me and my dad want to do the same.
It is amazing. Okay. It is an experience that if you have the opportunity, I say take it.
Yeah.
It will be.
Well, maybe not now. Let's wait till it dies down a little because there's a lot going on.
Let me tell you what happened with us. We were supposed to go in 2019. And so I say that I believe that I'm on a mission of obedience as an elected official. And I say that because we were supposed to go to Israel. The original trip was scheduled for 2019.
Okay.
And it got postponed because there weren't enough people signed up. And then 2020 hit, it got postponed because of the pandemic the pandemic. And then 21, the same thing, the country wasn't stable enough for us to be able to visit. This opportunity of running for office presents itself. And all of a sudden I get an opportunity, the opportunity to travel to Israel then becomes real.
Wow.
I travel to Israel. I take my petition of, Lord, I need you to tell me whether I belong here or not, because there's just so much going on that I don't know if I really want to go. I was happy at Esperanza. There was room for growth for me at Esperanza. I love the people that I worked with and for at Esperanza. And so I really didn't want to go. Mm-hmm. I go on this trip. And during the course of the trip, I went to what they call the prayer wall, and you're able to take prayer petitions with you from people, right? But I also took my own prayer petition, just asking for guidance and direction and confirmation, right?
Which is very important. It's so important.
Goodness. It's so crazy. Yeah. Immediately leaving the prayer wall, we went on a ship to the Jordan River, and they play this song, oh my goodness, what is something like Promise Keeper, okay, right? And I was just like, oh my God, Lord, are you trying to talk to me? Like, this is crazy. Walking away, a gentleman from an Israeli says to me, I don't know what you're fighting. I don't know what the battle is that you're fighting through, but I am being told to tell you that you need to be obedient and that it's going to be okay. And he used a term that I have used consistently since that day, and that is that God will have mercy on you if you are faithful to him. And so God is merciful to those who are faithful. And I lead that way. Like, and I tell people that all the time. People are like, I don't know. And I'm like, just have faith and he's going to have mercy. it was on the Jordan River that I decided that when I got back, I would run for office, and I was like firm.
Yeah,
right. There was
that gave you the energy and the will to do it.
Yes,
so the purpose, you had the purpose, you just needed that extra.
Yes.
Damn, wow, that's a story. That's a test. That's un testimonio ahí, mi amor.
Yeah, how about that? I needed the courage to be able to go through the process that I was getting ready to go through. And a lot of times we want all of these things, and we're like, I want to do this, and I want to be this, and I want to have this. And God is like, yeah, you're going to have all of those things, and all of that is possible, but you got to go through this process.
You got to go through. You got to get broken down.
Process. And the process is scary, and the process is challenging, and the process is frustrating,
lonely,
and the process
sometimes.
is lonely.
Yeah.
Yes, very lonely. And the process will bring people's energy against you. And it's usually the people that are closest to you, that you trust the most, that are the people that leave you.
Because that's the test, right?
Yes.
We all have to look at it. If you want something great, can you handle the pressure of people wanting to take this from you? Rumors, right? The rumors, your best friends turning their back, family members sometimes turning their back.
Yes.
And are you going to crack and fold under pressure? And if you do, well, then maybe it's not for you.
That's it. And that's why you have to go through the process, right? God has all the rewards, but in order for you to gain that reward, in order for you to appreciate that reward, you have to go through that process. You need to show the strength. You need to show that you're capable of reaching all of those things. And when you sit up there and you're sitting in that reward, you say, wow,
right,
all of that
was worth it
for me.
Yeah, it was worth it.
To get here, it was worth it.
That's a beautiful story. That are you gonna write a book, Mama? You got enough. You already. Listen, you got some chapters already. That's a beautiful, beautiful testimony, and God is gonna continue blessing you. Let's switch subjects now. We're gonna touch on the school districts, and there's a lot going on. Maybe people don't know, and people that do know, there's some potential of closing with the schools, and it's gonna affect the district, correct?
Absolutely.
And so your team is doing a lot of work with this. You're behind the scenes doing a lot of work, and it's going to affect us one way or the other. I was looking at some of the numbers, and we're not doing too well with math and reading. Now, you have the certain schools, you have some schools that are doing extremely well in Pennsylvania, but overall, we're not falling where we want to be. What's going on with this school closing? Is it happening soon? Is it this year? Is it early next year? And how is your team working to combat that?
Well, I should say that when I came into City Council, one of the first committees I was appointed to as a committee member was the Education Committee. And I can remember very early on, maybe my first or second committee meeting, the committee chair and the members of that committee saying to the school district, we need a facilities plan. We need to know, how you're taking care of the buildings in our respective districts, and what's the plan for those that are not in good condition, right? Because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of buildings that have asbestos, that have leaky roofs, that there's mold.
Yeah, I went to Roberto Clemente, the one on Fifth and Luzerne, so I know what you're talking about.
That.
Back in the day, that school was horrible.
No, I hear, right? And so from that point on, many continue to push. Including myself, for a facilities plan. And I am glad that a facilities plan is in place. What is really upsetting and really frustrating to me is that part of what we asked them to do was to come up with a plan that included community input, community support, community voices. Let community tell you what their experiences are, right? Their children go there every day. The kids go there every day. Hear from the kids.
Right. They have
the information.
Absolutely. They have the information.
Yeah. And so I remember traveling for work and coming home, getting to the airport, and my staff were saying there's a community facilities plan in the district right now. And I said, let's go there, right from the airport. When I got there, the meeting was held at Julia de Burgos. It was a day in the summer. I think it was like on a random Wednesday or Thursday in the summertime when council's out, right? Community residents están de fiesta, they're vacationing.
Absolutely,
they're not paying attention to email, so they're not watching your school email. Many people didn't even know it was happening. And so they only had one in the 7th Council District. It was at Julia de Burgos in the middle of the summer. And I want to say that there may have been, y mucho, ¿verdad? four families.
Wow.
The rest of the room was filled with everybody that was somehow associated to the school district of Philadelphia. And I thought, well, that's really disrespectful. It's probably just because it was my district, right? Ya yo estoy acostumbrada, they're going to give us, they're not going to treat us the same.
Especially if we're not showing up.
Exactly. But what I've heard throughout this entire process since this facilities plan was put out, a lot of people don't know that there was a holiday. Council received a message on the Monday that was a holiday to say there is a council members only meeting, information meeting at the School District of Philadelphia tomorrow, which would have been that following Tuesday. And then they made us aware of what their tentative plan was. And that Thursday, it became public. Wow. It became public. So there was no way for us to really you
didn't have enough time.
Get the information out, right? I was super angry about it because although this is going to impact the city, the schools in the entire city, 20% of the closures are happening in my district. Wow. And so I am hugely impacted.
How many schools is that, if you don't mind me asking?
That would be 5 schools.
5 schools.
Let me see, 1, 2, 3. No, 4 schools. But what they're not saying is that a lot of the other changes, 4 schools are set to close. There are other changes that would impact the district. Changes like co-location.
That's what was my next question. So when these schools close, where do these kids go to? So they just cram them in the next school?
They're creating co-locations. They're creating swing spaces.
And this creates a class of like 30 students.
33.
Oh,
so the
Lord.
maximum amount is 33. Now let's also talk about the fact that in my district, we have a high concentration of IEPs. That means that children that need individual attention in order for them to succeid, right? Okay. And so to expect a teacher
one
to
teacher.
have 33, mira, soy yo con 2 muchachos y me vuelvo loca, imagínate con 33.
I know.
That's
33.
Crazy. 33. Oh. And so, and they're using the fact that a lot of our schools are underutilized, which means that the enrollment is low, right? Okay. So they're currently, in some of my schools, we may have classrooms that only have 12 students.
Right.
I say to them, my pushback to them is, well, what's wrong with 12 students? A lot of data shows that kids learn better when they're smaller classroom and there's more individualized attention. So why are we going against the data, right? They're saying, well, we're trying to reduce the number of facilities that we have so that we're able to invest in the ones that we keep more, so that we're able to respond to more wraparound services in those buildings, right? So they're talking about mental health support, government services, workforce development, apprenticeship programs. They're saying we're going to have less facilities, but we're going to have more resources. Our kids are going to be given algebra and art and music and
home economics. Aren't they supposed to have these things?
Well, those are all the things that they used to have in the past that they pulled out.
Yeah, because when I was in school, we had wood shop, we had auto body, which these things now are very important. Like the blue collar jobs are it right now. And so, I asked a lot of the young guys, and some of the schools like Edison, they have electrician courses and all. And so they do have them. Let me ask you this. Is there shortages with teachers also? Is there a problem with that? Or is there enough?
So I'm going to tell you, I mentioned earlier that when we compare the 7th Council District schools to other schools across the city of Philadelphia, I come up amongst the lowest performing. Part of the reason that we are amongst the lowest performing is because we can't get certified teachers to choose schools in the 7th Council District to come teach at. Now, let me tell you why.
Is that because of pay? Sorry, is it because of pay? Because of the neighborhoods? They might be.
No, it's as a result of the neighborhood, right? I represent 3 of the 5 most dangerous districts in the city of Philadelphia. And so, public safety is a big thing.
Absolutely.
However, would you not then say, well, council member, why are we not doing something about what is happening on the outside of those buildings so that we do have certified teachers, so that we do have quality programming?
So are you admitting that Philadelphia is light on crime?
I'm saying that we are coming off an administration who at one time said that we can't arrest our way out of certain things.
Wow.
Now, I mentioned
they said that? That was...
Yes. Well, I mentioned to you, and anybody could look it up, right? I mentioned to you that everything that is wrong in the city of Philadelphia is exacerbated in the 7th. Let's talk about open-air narcotic sales. There's drug sales everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere. You can't tell me que hay una comunidad que no tiene...
even the rich ones. Yeah, even the rich ones. Even the rich.
However, in the 7th Council District, we have multiple billion-dollar narcotic sales operations, right? For a really long time, we also had 1,200 plus unsheltered people that lived on our streets that openly were allowed to inject drugs, right? Yeah. And what did that cause in that community? That caused higher crime, that caused
businesses
safety
stay away.
issue, right? It caused a decline in businesses. It has impacted my community, right?
For sure.
And so I'm not saying that we are not tough on crime. What I'm saying is that government at the time, that mayoral administration at the time, and I've been very public about saying this, the Kenney administration allowed for government-inflicted trauma to occur in the 7th Councilmatic District. However, we now have an administration in the Parker administration that is committed to responding to the government-inflicted trauma that was allowed to occur in the 7th Council District. What does that mean? That means that we are no longer accepting the status quo, right? We are responding to the open-air drug market. Right. We are making those that are living in addiction, suffering from substance abuse disorder, we are making them uncomfortable so that they do choose to go into programs. So we're prioritizing prevention and education and resources differently than in the past. In the past, it was leave them alone. We're violating their constitutional rights.
Yeah, you see.
And what they were saying was we can't arrest our way out of it. Right. We can't arrest our way out of it. Turned into we're not doing anything about it.
Got it. Yeah.
Right.
That's an uphill battle. Like when the way you said it and you put it in perspective, that's not going to happen overnight. So you guys have a lot of work on your hands.
We do. However, you see the difference that electing the right people to office makes.
Right.
We elected a woman into office that made a commitment to the Kensington community and to the city of Philadelphia not to just accept things in neighborhoods. She made a very specific commitment to the Kensington community that she was not going to allow for the unsheltered to continue to occupy our sidewalks and our parks and recreation areas, right? We have been able to bring that 1,200 plus outdoor neighbors, right? We brought that number down to just recently under 300 people on the street. And people will say, no, Quetcy, déjate de eso porque esa gente se movieron para otras comunidades. Yeah. You may be right. They did move out to other neighborhoods. However, they're not concentrated in the 7th. Right. We are seeing an increase of unsheltered in Center City. We're seeing them in even in Frankfurt, and that's the reality, right? We're seeing them across the city, although they're still, we haven't gotten to where we need to be in the Kensington community. You don't see that concentration.
You don't. You see a difference.
You saw it before.
Let me ask you this. How about crime? Has crime gone down since?
For the first time in over 60 years, crime has gone down significantly.
Yeah, I thought I heard
than ever. Right. And so you have to celebrate those things. These things they're not easy to respond to. They were allowed to exist for years and years and years. I believe that, it was over 20 years. So people say to me, well, why are you blaming the Kenney administration? I'm blaming the Kenney administration because it was under that administration that they took that approach of we're going to leave people alone and we're going to let people be ready, right? And letting people be ready in my community caused a decline
it's a ripple
in quality of life,
absolutely.
Right? And so I walked in and I said, I'm not choosing one community over the other. I think that both of them are equally as important. Both of them need to be approached with empathy and compassion. But at the end of the day, let us not forget that we are raising children in this community. Absolutely. That 10 years from now,
Elias, they got to
10 years from now, you're going to be like, mira esto es un vago, esto no sirve para nada.
No trabaja, no hace nada.
Dios mío, what that child witness through the lens
I
of their
see
eyes.
it when I drive by and I see the neighborhood and I see a mother walking with these kids through and I say to myself, oh my goodness, but they're 5-6 years old. That doesn't go away.
No.
And them years are precious years.
Yes.
That sticks with you forever.
Yes.
So,
and when you talk to those kids, I've made it my business to have youth town halls, elementary school town halls, high school students town halls, because I want to know from them. I want to know how they feel. I think one of the things that has allowed me to lead unapologetically prioritizing quality of life in my district is because I sit there and I listen to those children and I think about my own children. And I say to myself, would I allow this in my own neighborhood? Would I allow my own child to go through this? And Elias, I'm going to tell you this. If you ask anybody in government at that time if they would allow for their children to be exposed to this, the answer was always no.
Of course not. Yeah.
And so why allow it in my community? And when I spun it that way, then people were like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that hit home. That hit home. Absolutely.
And
that's as real as it. I mean, if sometimes being a little cold and hard is how you get through to people.
Right. And I would say to them, listen, I'm happy to put people in a bus and take them to your neighborhood, drop them off in front of your lawn, in front of your business, and see how
they're pressing charges.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes folks are like, well, that's kind of hard of you to say. Yeah. But sometimes it takes it's reality. I think that over the last 2 years, we've seen a decrease in outdoor residents suffering of addiction. We've seen a response to open air narcotic sales. We've seen a decline in violent crime and crime used with a gun. We've seen a community re-engaged in what is happening, right? And more supportive of what is around them, with less fear of reporting what they're seeing, right? There was this perception that you weren't allowed to talk about what you saw because you were considered a snitch. Yeah, the no snitch rule, right? That's crazy. I explain that to a lot of people. That came about when you were involved in some type of organization, right? And you and your fellas or girls were part of crimes, and one person gets caught and tells on the other person to get less time. If you're a civilian and you're going to work every day, you're a tax-paying person that's honorable, and you see a crime and you speak about it, that's not snitching, because you're a civilian. You're not in the game, right? And people get that confused and they look at it like, well, he snitched. No, this is a person that has to get up every day to go to work. Right? They have to take their kids to school. And anybody that has a half a brain in the street, because I don't condone street activity, but at the same time, if you're in the street, you have to understand this person is a family man, a family mother, a wife that has to live by her responsibilities or his responsibility. Absolutely. They're not part of that world that you're part of. Absolutely. So they have to protect their investment. They have to protect their family with everything they have, because it's hard. No es fácil to build your credit, to own a home, to go to work every day. Your last penny. Your last penny. Invest your last penny. And you got a pension and you want to hold on to that pension. So for the guys and girls that are out there that are committing these crimes and living that life, understand these people have nothing to do with what you're doing. You chose that life, and now so you expect them to follow the rules that you live by. The street life rules doesn't apply to civilians. Correct. Okay, so it is what it is. I want you to know that I also made it my business to talk to a lot of the young men and women that were out there in the hustle, right? Because I want to know where they come from too. Right. Everybody has a story. Absolutely. I heard from so many who struggled because their parents were absent, right? Because their parents were part of that world of substance abuse disorder, because they themselves were incarcerated for different things, life, absolutely. Right? And as a result of that, they found themselves also behind the bars. And it was a cycle. And it was a vicious cycle. Vicious cycle, yes. Many of them, their siblings being raised by abuela. And abuela lived on a fixed income, right? Was so true. And now, Jose is hustling on Lippincott because he needs to help abuela put food on the table and raise his 4 siblings. And so I recognize all of that, but I think that part of what I have done as it relates to connecting with them too is helping them understand that life is not a life that is going to cause more pain to abuela and them siblings, right?
In the
Abuela already
community,
lost your parents to the streets. You are now following in that footsteps. You think it's fair for abuela to receive that call to say that you were killed or that you were hurt in the neighborhood hustling?
Or let's look at it from a different perspective. A lot of guys don't realize that your actions is going to cause them headaches because they got to walk around facing that.
Yes.
That was one thing growing up that my parents said, don't embarrass us.
Yes.
They knew that I was out in the street, and I was a party guy. I was never in the street doing anything illegal. But they knew that when you're out in the street partying and you're hanging around certain people that do things, it could come back home. And my dad would say,
quién anda y te diré quién
exactly,
eres.
te diré quién eres. And they would say, aquí no me traiga problema.
That's it.
And that was always on my mind, where a lot of these guys are making moves. They're taking these actions, these penitentiary chances, not realizing that, okay, you might be locked up or you might be gone. But the people you hurt are now looking at grandma now. And they might want revenge or they might want payment or your son owes me. So not only are you hurting the community by now living up to what they consider the stereotype, right?
Yes.
Sometimes they look at us like, well, oh, you're Puerto Rican, so we expect you to do these things, right? So you're living up to this stereotype, so-called. Then you're putting your own family in harm's way, your children, and then now the values, the community's devalued.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to move in. The teachers don't want to come to the school to teach. The businesses are moving out. So it's a ripple effect of all these things.
That's it. You're absolutely correct. And it is exactly the problems that we are experiencing now, and it's part of the work that I've been doing for the last 2 years, right? One of the things that we don't do well in government is that we don't hold people accountable. There's no oversight. And so, you receive a grant and you're friends of somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And even though you got this grant to provide a certain level of services, even if you don't provide them, the city is not set up to be able to retract that money from you, right? And so I think it was part of my frustration when I first came in. I'm like, okay, so we know that we're giving this organization or this group of people money to provide these services. They're not providing them. Why do we keep giving them this grant money, right? Like we need to cut this off. And so part of the work that I've been doing since I arrived in council is really looking at who's getting the money, right? They always say follow the money and you're going to really find the truth behind what is going on. Right. I can tell you that one of the very simplest things I did was I started a 24-hour cleaning pilot because the trash on Kensington Avenue was so crazy. It was a mess.
The city has been looking a lot cleaner. Well, so kudos to you guys over there.
Part of what we did was we started a 24-hour cleaning pilot, and we looked at who's getting this money. How much money are they getting? What does their crew look like? What times and where are they supposed to be? Right, oversight. Yeah. And so we've realized that you and I were getting a grant to clean Kensington. You and I both showed up at 7:00 in the morning. If your crew started to clean first, well, my crew was going to lay back.
Yeah, no shows. Yeah,
right. Why am I gonna step all over your feet? Right. You're doing the work.
Right.
So what's happening? I'm getting paid grant money to clean a commercial quarter that I'm not cleaning because you're doing it.
Wow.
And so what we did was we created a schedule that allowed for your crew to be in this specific target area from this time to this time. My crew during that same time would be in another area. So what you started to see was that the cleaning was happening more widespread, and then they were rotating. And so 24 hours a day, there were certain neighborhoods that were getting clean multiple times, right?
And you see it. I see it.
And now you see the difference. And I'm not by no means am I saying that we are where we need to be, but I believe that in the last 2 years and since the Parker administration has come on board, we have really seen changes that impact quality of life in the city.
Also, like the abandoned cars. Also, I noticed that. Yeah,
the hundreds of cars. We work very closely with the parking authority. We work very closely with the police department. And we select certain areas, right? Certain geographical areas, and within those boundaries, they go and they search for vehicles that don't have tags, vehicles that don't have valid inspections. They run tags to make sure that vehicles are actually registered to that area. Right. And we have towed hundreds of cars from neighborhoods, and just those small things, Elias, where people can see their government at work just makes a huge difference.
Of course it does, because I've been a taxpayer my whole life. So I'm viejo, so I've been a taxpayer. I want to see my money go to something that you can actually say, wow, there's a difference. And lately, a lot of people have been talking about that, how the city's starting to look very, very clean. I saw a clip on TikTok recently of this girl. She came from New York, and she said, I can't believe how clean it was because we have a bad rep. You know how Philly, I've traveled. Dude, it's like, it's nationally, you travel and people say, you're from Philly, ooh. And I was once on a cruise ship, and it was me, my brother, and my cousin. And we, when you go on a cruise, you sit to eat dinner with all types of people. So there was people from Australia, Sweden, and we were having a great time talking Dallas. And they were like so surprised on how cool we were being from Philly, as far as humble, not cocky, not being disrespectful. And I said, everybody from Philly's not like that. That's a small percentage of people. We have such a bad rep of being these tough guys and violent. That's not the case. For the most part, they're hardworking, blue-collar people. Yes, we have the new transplants that come in. And they're just minding their business, doing what they can do. Everybody's trying to survive, and you have the little bit of small bad apples that kill it for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, I stand very proud. My goal is to, the day that I walk out of this office, my goal is to have people proudly say that they're from Kensington,
Absolutely.
right? Proudly say that they're from Fair Hill, from Hunting Park,
the Kelly Corner days. You
Frankfurt,
remember that?
right? Yeah, from the Kelly Corner days, right? I want people to be proud of that. I think that when you talk to young people and you ask them where you from, they're kind of like, Kensington.
Right.
Right. I'm from. And they're kind of embarrassed to say where they're from if they're from this community. And I don't want that. I want people to be very proud to say, I live in the Kensington community. I think that what people don't realize is some of the most resilient people that you meet.
For you to come out, listen, for you to come out of Kensington and still have your brain intact and be functional and productive and still have a positive mindset says it all.
Oh my
and
goodness,
to me, because we're from Philly, when someone says they're from Kensington, we give them automatic respect.
Absolutely.
And we kind of have empathy with the people that fall short. I'm very hard on that because I believe that, you only get a few chances in this world and you need to take advantage. Yeah. But there's a lot of mental illness behind that. So you can't be too hard and say, ese está así porque quiere estar así. There's a lot that...
trauma. If people tell you they're from Kensington and they're a little bit off, you have to remember that this is years of trauma.
Kensington's been like this for a long time.
Yes.
All right, so that is a good subject. I wanted to touch this subject. I didn't want to leave today without this one because this one is probably the biggest one. It's immigration. So there's a lot of layers when it comes to this, right? You have undocumented immigrants, right? Or illegals. What is your thoughts? Let's touch on that because some people have an issue with the wording or how you say that.
Right.
Is it illegals or is it undocumented?
You have to be sensitive, and I call it undocumented, right? There are our undocumented neighbors, neighbors who came here for a better life, neighbors who came here to take advantage and live the American dream. And the American dream, when you talk about the American dream, it really depends on who you're talking to, right? And how they describe what to them the American dream looks like. I can tell you that many of the families that I have talked to who are here, who are undocumented, came here for what they call the American dream. And it's something as simple as just freely working, walking out of your house without worry, right? Of a government that is going to snatch you up or that's going to impose all of these things against you or on you and your family.
Things that we take for granted to the people that live here.
Absolutely. The simple things,
simple things that
education,
matter. Oh, for sure.
Just a simple education, just an opportunity to live in community, right? And being able to have a relationship with your neighbors without fear. That is what, when I talk to many of those who are here undocumented, that is why they came here. They came here to better themselves and their families. We have many who are undocumented who choose the 7th Council District as the place that they call home. Nationally, the immigrant community is under attack, and we are doing also our small part to make sure that those who live in our community feel safe and supported, right? And we've done that in multiple ways, right? My team, who by the way I have to shout out because I'm the
Absolutely.
elected.
Shout them out. Shout them out.
I'm the elected, but I have a team that works for me of people that are as passionate as me, are as committed to the 7th Council District as me, understand the challenges of this district, and are ready and willing to serve every single day. We provide services to people in their living room, in their church bench,
Right.
on their park, in their park lawns or grass, whatever.
Right.
I mean, in their recreation centers, wherever they are.
You meet them.
I work with a team of people that will meet people where they are, right? We have conducted Know Your Rights trainings. We've been able to help people create safety plans that they share with people that are U.S. citizens that they trust, in the event that maybe they are separated from their children and their children have nowhere to go. These plans are very detailed and very specific, and they're shared with others so that their loved ones that stay behind have a path towards continuing to live or reconnecting at some point.
Right.
We've also started to work alongside my council colleague, minority leader Kendra Brooks, who is coordinating workshops for observers, right? And so if you witness someone who is being detained for some reason or another by immigration enforcement officers, what do you do?
Right.
And who do you share that information with? Yes. Who do you call? What video is important? How do I do those things in a way that's safe for me as the person recording, as the bystander? And how do I keep those who are around me safe, as well as the person who is being detained? And so there's a lot of work that we are doing. As a council member, I've also been able to identify dollars that we've given to the Defenders Association to be able to provide representation for some of our undocumented residents that don't have the capacity to pay for a private attorney.
Sure.
And just education, right? We have to be able to arm ourselves with the education and be able to share it with those who find themselves caught up in the system and those who are observing how the system is reacting to them. And so that is also some of that work, right? That you say people it's happening, but people don't know that it's happening.
Right.
And we do it behind the scenes intentionally, right? Because we don't want we don't want to be like, mira, estamos aquí.
Right.
Come find
you don't want the counterattack. Yeah, I got you.
Right here, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing it in a way that is very careful and protects those that could be compromised.
Let me play devil's advocate, because of course you're gonna have people that the pushback. So an undocumented immigrant that's been here so long, why is it that the process is too difficult? Why, like someone that's here 20 years, 25 years, and they're still undocumented? First of all, let's answer this. Are they breaking the law? Because people say, well, they're breaking the law. They've been here, someone a year or two, they could see that. But if they've been here so long, what was it taking them so long to become a citizen?
I think what people don't understand, and it's understandable that they don't understand it because they don't have to live it, right?
Correct.
It is a costly process. It costs a lot of money for you to be able to get your papers in place. The system is also broken. The system is not set up in a way that makes the process towards citizenship an easy one. It is a very complicated one. Learning the language is not something that you woke up tomorrow or you woke up.
Pero mi amor, and I say that respectfully. Pero mama, but they've been here 25 years.
I get it.
Right.
I get it. But if they are living in the shadows for the fears of what could potentially happen to me, then are they associating themselves with people like you and I who speak the language? And you know that if you are a non-English speaker, the only way you get stronger and more comfortable speaking the language is being able to practice the language, right?
Right.
And so if they're working with people who are from who are in their same situation, who are undocumented and only speak Spanish, then who's teaching them, right?
Right.
If you are only exposed or given the opportunity to work those, for a long time, and people may not say it. The people that are complaining and talking crap right now are the people that used to take advantage of those people to say, let me pay you $20 for 8 hours of work.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying?
True,
Come on.
Okay, so what would you expect somebody?
Yes, they are breaking the law because of the way they entered and they crossed the border.
Okay. That's
However, they're here, right?
So when you
they've
say
been here, they're contributing citizens. They're responsible. They've been responsible because many of them create those ITIN numbers to be able to pay their taxes. Even somebody that has been working for a long time, even they don't know the process. But
doesn't the country have the right to say, okay, we can send you back home because you've been here 25 years?
This country has the opportunity to say whatever they want. We are probably one of the strongest countries in the world, and we can say whatever we want. But we also have a responsibility to make the system and the process easy if we want people to comply. I'm going to say this to you. The 7th Council District is home to a lot of U.S. residents.
Right.
Right? We deserve our government to serve us.
Facts,
right?
Facts, absolutely.
Okay. We are also the district that has the lowest voter turnout.
That's something else we have to talk about.
Listen to this.
I got you.
When you talk to residents in the 7th Council District, they will say, ¿Pa qué yo voy a votar? Si ese gobierno no hace nada para mí.
I hear that all the time.
And you know what I say to government?
Right.
Government says, well, we're not providing them services because they don't vote. And I say to government, well, they don't vote because you don't provide them services.
Right.
I say to this government, them people are still living in the undocumented status because we as government have not facilitated a process that they understand and that they have access to.
Okay, I see your point. Your point.
We also have made it so costly that they can't afford it because people in this country have taken advantage of their cheap labor.
Fact.
So let's talk about those things.
Okay. You made a solid point. That's a valid point. I can't argue that. But my question is, what do you do at this point when you have so many that are not documented? Are you saying just give them a pass and allow them to stay here?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying let us create a process that will allow for them to come into compliance.
But how do you structure that? How do you structure that?
I'm saying those who have come into our country and have been responsible, respectable, contributing citizens.
Got it.
If you are a criminal, I don't care if you black, brown, orange, purple, Mexican, Colombian, Cuban, a United States citizen. You don't deserve to be out here free.
Okay, that's what I wanted. I wanted to know that you made a difference between a criminal and someone that's working. And I see you're very passionate about it.
We have established the difference between a criminal and someone who came here for opportunity, right?
And the time they've been here, they've been doing everything by the book. I got you.
That's somebody that came here for opportunity.
Right.
If you are a criminal, you deserve for the justice system to hold you accountable to the fullest extent and send you back to where you originated from,
As you should, right.
That is my position. I'm saying I recognize how they entered. I'm saying they have done what they are responsibly able to do.
You're saying they went through the process. They tried to go through the process.
They've been able to get to a certain point in the process.
Right.
And then there are those who came here and took advantage of the freedoms that we have had, have broken the law, have hurt people in this country, and they deserve for justice to hold them accountable.
All right, I got it. That's fair. This is a touchy subject, and listen, I can see it all in your face. Mira, no, la boricua cuando se pone hot. There's nothing you can do about it.
I just think,
but this is a touchy subject.
Yeah, it is a touchy subject, and I think that we're never going to be able to please everyone.
For sure.
I believe, again, I go back to my foundation of faith. and I am no one to judge people.
For sure.
I don't know what brought people here, right? I don't know if there was danger in their own countries.
Usually it was, yeah, but usually there was, yeah.
In their own
like
countries.
You see what's happening in Mexico now.
Exactly, right? And so I'm not going to judge you, but while you're here, yes, do what you can to work, save money, and get yourself to a point where you do your due diligence and become a citizen. And for some people, Elias, that will take a year or two. And for some people, that takes 20, 30, 40 years because again, they've not had the opportunity to surround themselves with jobs that will pay them a fair wage, right? There are people that are exploited, that take advantage. And those people that have done the exploiting are the very same people that say those people are here and they're illegal aliens and they need to go back home. But they don't say, themselves, I used them and took advantage of them for years. Many times. Look at the stories that I've heard of the people that stand at Home Depot where they go with people, American citizens, they go to their homes, they build their homes over, and then they have the audacity to say to them, I'm not paying you because you're not documented. I dare you. And if you do, I'll call the police on you. How many stories have we heard, right? How many people use some of these women to take care of their children, raise their children to be good, outstanding young people in our community and get paid $20, $25 a week?
Yeah, it's not enough. Yeah,
and
absolutely. So there's abuse behind
$25 a week. How are you supposed to pay for becoming a citizen that costs hundreds and in some cases
So in other words, I get it. So you're saying the money they make is to survive, not enough to become a citizen.
Not enough to thrive.
Got it. Very passionate. I love it. This is what I wanted. I wanted you to come on to have these type of conversations. I got the right person. And you know what? When you first got here, you say, "Oh, yo no hablo tanto. I mean, I'm going to hablar." You trick me.
I don't trick you. I just say that I am triggered in certain ways.
I think that I love it. It's good.
Get triggered when people pick on those who don't have a voice, right? I believe in serving the least of these, and the least of these oftentimes becomes a different population of people, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, the least of these on Kensington are the person that's suffering from addiction. No, the least of these can easily be that mother and her children who are trying to survive in their community, right? The least of these could be that business owner, that guy who took everything he had from his retirement and said, I'm going to start this business, and this business is going to put food on the table and it's going to create generational wealth for my community. And we are interfering because we're allowing all of these things, all of these social injustices to happen in front of his business, so his business can't thrive, which means he can't put food on the table, which means his business will no longer be the generational wealth that he envisioned his family from happening. That makes me passionate because that person doesn't have a voice. That person can't show up at certain tables where I have the ability to show up as an elected and be that voice for those people. And so that makes me angry, right? And I feel like there are certain people that sometimes need to hear the truth, right? The truth that they see in that mirror every day, and that they don't speak up and speak out about it because they are sometimes the perpetrator.
This is why you're in that position. And this is why God chose you. And bringing you on, you open my eyes because I'm not educated to all these things. And most people aren't.
And I'm learning. I wasn't educated to them either, right? I'm learning.
Think about where we're getting our information from, right? So the average person is watching CNN or MSNBC or even TikTok. Nowadays, everything's TikTok.
And Instagram.
So that's why I thank you for coming on, because doesn't mean I have to agree with everything. But the fact of the matter is now my eyes are open to, okay, a little bit more understanding, more empathy, which we all need. Is something that as I've gotten older, I've realized I need to read more and learn more. And I think the community has to do that because there's even Latinos that want to get rid of all the, right? It's amazing to me.
And we have to respect everyone's position. I think that I'm not here for people to agree with me, right? But in no way. I understand that everyone has a right to their opinion, and I allow people to share and voice their opinions. What I don't allow is disrespect. Right? I allow you to step to me and tell me whatever you want to tell me. I will take everything.
You're up for it.
Everything.
Yeah, you're up for it.
I will take everything. And I tell people all the time, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for sharing your perspective. There are times that I say, I firmly disagree with you. But there are times that telling them that I disagree is not worth it because I'm not going to change their mind.
Yeah, they're stuck. Yeah.
I'm not here for that. What I do believe that we need a little bit more of is neighborly respect, right? Neighborly respect. I don't have to agree with your style of life. I don't have to agree with your religious beliefs, with your sexual orientation, with the type of job that you choose or don't choose to do. I don't care if you want to stay home. That's none of my business. I believe that if we just were a little bit more respectful to one another, we would live in neighborhoods and in communities that would be so much happier.
Yeah, they just don't want to share the pie, mi amor.
Exactly.
They just don't want to share the pie. So let's touch on this. This is why Bad Bunny has gotten the rep that he has, the publicity, the hate, the love. Mm-hmm. Just like we're going to pray for you, we got to pray for him. How did you feel after that Super Bowl performance? Because I was emotional. The whole world was emotional. You got the haters, but they have no culture. Most people don't have culture. Our beautiful culture, Puerto Riqueño, Boricua, was displayed. And I think now things are starting to move.
Yes.
You see a lot of changes. How did that affect you?
Oh, my God. To see, like you said, right, to see the Puerto Rican flag and the music and the culture displayed on the largest stage in the world, to me, I honestly, I don't even have words for it. Right? I was speechless. And I sat in my living room and my youngest sister was there. She was like, ay, espérate, I don't know how I feel about that. I think I want like more. I want to like, boo, bah. And I said to her at that moment, I said to her, you know, he's a really, if you look at Bad Bunny has always been a very humble type of guy,
Absolutely.
right? And so why would you expect more? I thought that it was perfect.
It was perfect to me.
It was perfect.
And I was arguing with people about this because the little things that we saw, it went over everybody's head.
The message.
The message, just from him starting cutting, you know, in the fields, the little businesses, that matters, the light poles. That's such a major thing. It brought back memories because I remember growing up, just how we spoke about being Puerto Rican was sometimes looked down upon. And we had these stereotypes. And then we grew up in poor neighborhoods where what the expectation wasn't for you to become great. And to see him do that and then have the heart to say, I'm singing it in Spanish.
Yeah.
And wear a bulletproof vest, you know that. That's what I was told. He was wearing a bulletproof vest, too, on top of it.
And to say, when Lady Gaga comes out, this is what you wanted.
Right.
You wanted a white woman.
There you go. You got
wanted
it.
White. You wanted
English.
But she's going to smack you in your face because she's going to sing in Spanish, too. Right? Like, to me, it was just like, wow.
I've never seen anything like it.
Me either.
And it made me proud. I think it was overdue. And then recently, Willie Colon passed away. Now you see the explosion of salsa. Salsa for a while was dying.
Yes.
Not dying in our community, but as far as growing, it wasn't growing. And now you see so many cultures. Even the people that at first were like, I hate it. They're coming back to say, wait a minute, let me look at it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's key.
Yeah.
That sometimes you might not agree, but listen and let it swirl. Let it fester a little bit in you, and then make your decision, because it's like a song that you hear for the first time, I didn't like it. Then the second time you hear the song, you're like, wait, it's not too bad. Right?
Yeah.
So
one thing I can say about music, you don't have to understand the lyrics.
You want to move, though.
You were moving.
You want to move.
It was making you move. Some part of your body was moving.
Right? When you visit Mexico, you move, right? All the people, when you go to Puerto Rico, you don't know the language, but you move. Even when you listen to somebody opera, right? Or one of these Italian singers that sing beautiful.
You're attracted to it.
You're so attracted to it because you know it's art. It's strange to me that now we're getting this feeling of, wow, people you thought loved our culture actually don't, because it's being displayed. And now so many people are now all over. He's in Australia now. He's everywhere.
About us.
Everybody's talking about us. We always been all that.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. We've been here.
Yeah, for sure.
Quetcy, this was a good interview. I want to really, really thank you. I'm humbled because I'm just starting out my podcast. You didn't have to do this, and you came on. I will always owe you.
Oh, no.
It means a lot to me because your time is valuable. You have a lot going on. You give so much to the community. We could have continued talking because I like talking to you. Yeah. It's easy to talk to you, and you're very articulate, and you give the information quickly. We're going to have to do this again because there's more that and time is flying. But from the bottom of my heart, I am touched. I really, really appreciate you, Quetcy.
No, thank you.
If you want to shout anybody out, you want to shout out your family, friends, your district, you had any last words before
I
you
always
leave?
shout out my kids, right? Alexis and Jamie, my husband Jamie, my parents, right? Because of them, I'm able to do the things that I love to do, right? I love to serve, and so I always have to shout them out.
Absolutely.
My sisters, right, who kind of hold everything together when I'm not around, and make sure that my parents have what they need, and so shout out to them. Shout out to the community, right, who elected me to be their voice in city government, and who allow me to speak up and speak out for them. I am committed to continuing to do that as long as they elect me to do so, and so I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been here today. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my story and how I got here, and the work that I'm doing. Again, there's a lot of work to do in this community. We are 55% Latino, right? And so they call this the Latino district. I am super hopeful that as my time here goes by, that as Latinos we're able to look back and we're able to see the impact that those that came before me made as Latinos, and the impact that I have made, and hopefully another Latino will come behind me in the future, right, and pick up the torch,
for sure,
and keep walking, right. I don't like to say, walking in anybody's shoes, because I don't walk in anybody's shoes. I walk in my own. I create my own imprints, footprints, and I believe that those that came before me did the same. But grateful for those individuals that came before me that were also a voice for our community, and who've allowed me the opportunity to continue that voice, and I can't do the work alone, right? I have a team of people that, like I said earlier, really are supportive and as passionate about the work that I'm doing. And thank you, right? Because you're a voice as well, and you're using this platform to connect our people to information, right?
Absolutely.
Whether they are supportive of it or not, at least you're putting it out there. You're allowing for the information to get out and let people make their own judgment on how to receive.
That's the goal. That's the goal, and I'm here for you. So when it comes time for voting and you need any help, you need anything, me and my guys will be there for you. Quetcy, it was a pleasure meeting you. We're going to figure this out. It's going to get better. You're doing a hell of a job. I'm proud of you. Que Dios te bendiga. Vamos a estar orando por ti.
Thank you.
All right, everybody pray for her, because you're going to need it. You have an uphill battle, and we understand that you're putting a lot of hard work in. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Subscribe, like, and leave a comment. She will be coming back, because I want her to holler at me again. I kind of like it. It was nice. It was fun. She's going to have to put me in my place. I need it sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Till next time.